still hinky and not letting us.
All right, so
I agree with you about not over specifying, but my only concern with that one part of the property that's the highest part goes to visibility and light emission if it's going to be townhomes as opposed to single family. That's my only concern.
Or it may be possible that the townhouses are lower profile and, you know, the houses are taller. I think we just
Right.
need more information to
And that's my
understand what
point.
the implication is. Yeah.
we need to know, our concern is with visual impact, not
Right,
with
and light
where
emission.
houses or townhouses should go.
True, true.
So now, just as one of those really mundane pieces of business. Oh, wait a minute. I can count. If I count myself, we have at least 3 board members on. Okay, so we're legal.
No, I was dropped by this phone. I had to call back in.
Yeah, I know
We all
did.
were. We all were.
Yeah, there must be a time limit on the call.
I don't know. There may be. All right, but so now, Larry, that's you. Say hi, Larry.
He's
I'm
3.
there.
He's 3. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to have to play this game again. And
Is Ken not on the calls yet?
I don't think he's on the call yet. All right. And I just,
If you can hear me, I am on the call. I'm area code 347.
it doesn't matter. I can't see the phone numbers, but you're user number 4 now. Okay, good.
Okay, I'm user 4. Thank you. I didn't have a point. I just wanted to identify what. So please proceed.
Okay. Is this horse dead? Should we move on to the next one?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it all speaks to the concept plan and understanding if any changes are proposed to the product. All right, we're on geology, soils, and topography. Larry, did you have comments?
Let me see if you did have any comments. What letter is that?
I, geology, soils, and topography.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So there was a line in there about not substantially changing levels of development,
Right.
and I just wanted to, when I see that words like not substantially change, I feel like we need to know what that means when that we need some quantification around those kinds of phrases. So that was my only comment in there.
I had the similar one that we need to have a comparison of the limits of disturbance existing versus proposed. Yep.
Exactly.
The other thing is, I think there was a request to change something in the performance standards. So we need to understand the implications of those performance standards, how they're changing.
Absolutely. We need every category of design standard, we need to know what is we need to know with a degree of specificity what's changing, for sure.
Okay. Natural resources is really the same. We're on J.
Right.
Limits of disturbance to comparison.
Yeah, exactly. There's really no comments necessary if the limits of disturbance aren't changing, which has been represented to be the case. But there's language in the tech memo that makes us want to have that verified.
Yeah, there's a lot of, in this, substantially changed narrative when
Yeah.
it comes to I, J, and K.
Mm-hmm. We ready for water supply?
I think so.
Can I,
The
I
only
just
note
had
I
a question about, I just had a question about K. I don't know if I'm muted. Can you hear me?
We
Yeah.
can hear you.
Thank you. Just in general, I know that condensing the project footprint, and has been mentioned earlier, kind of eliminates the phase 3 and a lot of the western property development that approaches Tuxedo Park, because of the elimination of a lot of the larger single-family homes. And that may have an overall, obviously would have an overall impact as to, paved surfaces. But I would imagine because there's a more concentrated disturbance, that would have different impacts, I would imagine, than just as a comparative to the overall.
If in fact they don't need phase 3 based on proposed changes, as per the Exhibit A. And so it's a combination of quantity, I guess, and the type of disturbance, quality. So on the one hand, they may disturb less land. On the other hand, they may encroach into wetland buffers. So it's just, some of it's just, what is the nature of the potential impact?
Yeah.
And is there any change? I think the other, again, getting back to the maps, we need to see a concept plan that's, again, realistically showing the number of dwelling units that are being requested. Because if it's not, then they either do have to go back into areas that were previously proposed for development, or we need to see how the layout is changing to accommodate it all within the areas that were shown as phase 1 and phase 2.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Water supply, I think we were up to water supply.
Yes.
Any comments?
Bonnie, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good, because I was kicked off and then I'm back on. So I had a call in. So I missed a lot of the discussion while I was trying to get reconnected about the disturbance and impervious areas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just seems to me the nature of the new concentration of multifamily is increasing the impervious areas quite a bit, no? And maybe you discussed this, but
Well, what we have discussed is that, for instance, under hydrology and stormwater management, natural resources, there's the discussion that the proposed action would not substantially change impervious surfaces. So,
right.
Larry has indicated that, we need some kind of quantification verification wherever words like substantially change are provided. And is it in fact the case that it would not, if it doesn't substantially change, does that mean increase? Does it mean decrease? We need more detail.
Was there ever a calculation of impervious surfaces that we can compare?
I believe there was. We'd have to look for it. I think it probably was in the 2010 document if there was. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Right.
Yeah, I
And-
missed that discussion when I got kicked off.
But also remember, Michelle, this also goes to a certain extent to this, clustering idea. There may be more impervious area in phase 1 and phase 2, but the phase 3 area is now essentially undeveloped. So
Right, right. So as long as, so that also goes back to your point that we need to know what's happening in phase 3.
we need to know what's happening in phase 3, and the questions of impervious area are addressed by things like, as they sort of hint out here, bioswales, infiltration basins. There are plenty of engineering solutions for runoff, which is really the
Right.
issue at hand.
Right. Rain gardens, native plantings, I like that.
All that stuff.
Well, and I think it also, you want to make sure there aren't any effects on their own internal wells. In general, by increasing impervious surfaces in any one location, or are there engineering controls to take care of that? And what they would be.
I'm sorry, this is Maria. I was kicked off, but I had the same thought. Like, there's been many more storms and drainage and flooding and things like that. So I was wondering if there's anything specific about that they're trying to do to mitigate. Hello?
Maria, did we lose you?
Yep, we heard you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we heard, yeah.
All right, water supply?
My only comment on that one is to point out that that under their analysis, there's only, after this is built, there's only 66 additional bedrooms until the capacity is maxed. So you're virtually maxed out on water supply on this. So again, you want to, from an engineering standpoint, make sure the analysis is correct, since it's being telegraphed here that you're approaching maximum capacity with this build out.
Correct. And the same question with the currently installed equipment has got a much more significant limit. Sorry, my OCD seems to be attached to that point. I can't mention it again.
No.
Jay, Jay or Larry, could you just point out in that section how the conclusion that you just stated is derived?
Sure. Look at page 15.
I'm on page 15. Yep. Thank you.
Okay. So, and Bonnie, for the people watching at home, if you scroll up, I guess. There you go. So currently there's 500 gallons per minute of flow, which converts to whatever, 169,000 gallons per day.
Okay. Right. The 169,000. Right. Yep. Okay.
Right. And a bedroom. Remember, we talk about bedroom counts because people don't want to talk about toilet counts, but it's basically the same thing.
Okay.
It's 110 gallons per day per bedroom. At least that was the number in 2014. That was my other note. Is this still the standard? Is a reasonable question to ask. But 169,000 divided by 110 is 1,536 bedrooms.
Okay.
Now, that number corresponds to the phase 1 development from the 2015 plan, which is why they chose that number. In the tech memo in the table 1, right? All the information we had about unit mix and phasing before we got Greg's letter of yesterday.
Right.
The total bedroom count in phase 1 was going to be 2,860. Which doesn't mean they can't do it, but it means that there's gonna have to be a build out to get to the full phase one, and we don't know what it is anymore, but whatever it is, if the phase one build out goes past 1,500 odd bedrooms, there needs to be factored in the fact that the water plant, and the same discussion happens with the sewer plant, so I won't say it again there, will need to have further build out before the end of phase one.
Right.
Now that's
And Greg's letter also mentioned, the idea of a one-phase project, which in a lot of ways makes sense to me, but which would necessitate, as you're building it out, you're also building out the sewer plant to what its final capacity could be with the expansion.
right. And this is certainly, I mean, this isn't this is sort of really out of our purview, because this is, to a certain extent, means and methods of the development. But like I said, my engineer's OCD keeps picking up on this, and it needs to be, people need to keep it in mind. Maybe, this is the part where when the planning board is looking at the site plans for the, 1,537th bedroom, one of the questions needs to be, so did you put in a new well yet?
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, yeah, right.
So what we're
right now
saying
we're talking about water supply. Go ahead, Michelle, sorry.
So all right, so at full build out, they expect to have water facility capacity of 392 gallons per day.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
And
So
that's Larry's point. That gives them a maximum bedroom count. So this idea that there is an unlimited number of adult housing bedrooms is not realistic. There is a limit.
Right.
But Larry's point is the proposed full build out is 3,500 bedrooms.
Right.
That's 64 less than the theoretical limit, which is a small
Right.
percentage. So people better hope their math is right, or prove their
Also,
math is right before we get to the end.
Jay, if you could answer the one thing that I keep wondering is, we keep looking at bedroom count for water capacity issues, but if you're increasing units, you're increasing the number of kitchens and laundry rooms and all kinds of things that need water. So why are we only looking at bedrooms?
Because bedrooms defines population. And even if there are more washing machines, there's still the number of bedrooms determines the number of clothes that need to be washed.
So we're increasing the number of units. I mean, that's just a lot more kitchens and washing machines, no? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
But it's the same number of dishes, right? Because it's the same number of people eating.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I guess.
About what think about it as what they're generating, as what's getting generated in a household.
I mean,
so, kind of.
What's not included here? Is there any other use, whether it's retail, community facilities, a community center, that is not included here because it's only bedrooms?
Right. The health facilities.
So, again, this
restaurants.
goes. Sorry, go ahead.
No, there's, as Bonnie's saying, there's the restaurants and the health facilities and things that were going to be also included.
So, but the question was, again, so this is the part where this is a lovely summary. Where's the analysis so we can see what was included in the original counts and in the final counts? On the plus side, more townhouses means fewer lawns to be watered, so there's less water there.
Yeah, I was thinking that actually too.
And how
done with
reliable is the design capacity? I mean, in historical, Jay, you would know. I mean,
Wait a
you
minute.
can design a water system to produce so many gallons, but it seems that there's such a small margin of error here.
I mean, the short answer is drill more wells, but
Okay.
I don't. Structural engineer. So, but, I mean, a good question. So again, this goes into the what's the factor of safety in all of these calculations? I don't know the answer to that.
Right. And when we were talking about interviewing the first responders, we have to make sure I guess they were comfortable with the original design for water flow for fire hydrants.
They do
Yes.
talk about, I think, 2-hour fire flow capability.
Okay. Assuming that
Move on
was
to
vetted already, so.
Well, I think we need to make sure that, again, that whatever the assumptions were, you were either the same, or if they changed, why did they change?
Right.
And I'm not a hydrologist, I'm again, not an engineer, but we have largest well out of service, which is definitely typical of capacity, and maximum day factor 2.13. Was that used before, or is that the standard? I don't know, but I think someone needs to be able to review that and vet it.
I mean, does
I
the
would
fact
give
that
that
we
to
have more,
H2M.
H2M, yeah, give that
Mm-hmm.
over to them.
I'd be
ready?
curious if the fire. I'd be curious how what the more 3-story, 3.5-story buildings rather than single-family homes, if that impacts the fire department in any way. Just curious.
Well, depending on what the building code requires, they may need to be sprinkled.
Okay.
When you get into that, that kind of that that may be a factor.
Okay. Thanks.
On to the other kind of pipes.
Sure.
Positively.
Hey, sanitary sewer services M.
Right.
Yep.
It's
So I'm just going to say all the comments I made before, write them down here.
exactly. Ditto.
I agree with that.
Although I will point out that the margins are larger.
The
So,
500,000, you mean?
Under the master plan of the final build out, that they have 400,000 gallons per day wastewater treatment, and then the equivalent bedroom count, again, back to that 110 gallons per bedroom. That leaves that maximum 36 bedrooms that. And we were talking earlier, 3,500 bedrooms. So yeah, just sounds like those numbers are approaching maximum calculated possibilities, right? Capacity. Thank you.
Yeah.
And again, to look at it cumulatively, we need to know if there's anything else that's not residential that might generate wastewater.
Right.
Solid waste. I just had, why are we referencing the 2003 FEIS? Didn't the 2010 SEIS address?
Connie, where is this?
Under solid
Page
waste
16.
N.
To your point, Bonnie, it's just that there should have been more
think
recent.
Yeah, I would think there'd be more recent data because most of the comparisons are a lot of them to the 2010 EIS process.
Right.
So, I mean, maybe 2003 is the most recent, but just to check it, that
Okay.
there's nothing more recent.
Yeah, and I just made the note that there's a statement in there that multifamily generates less solid waste than single family. That may be true, but we should just make sure that's true.
Does it depend on the number of bedrooms in a single family unit?
No, I don't
No.
think they do it by
Okay.
bedrooms. I think they do it by number of tons generated over a period of time, and based on a housing type. It's a standard.
Yeah, they should just source it if something is going to be stated as a fact. Hazardous materials?
I had no comments on that one.
I had no comments other than I think that there was more updated analyses and closure plans and other things that are more recent than 2003 that should probably, I think, should be referenced.
Okay.
It does mention here 2 dumping sites in the southern and northern tracts previously identified were cleaned up.
I'm not familiar, I don't recall the northern tract. The southern had definitely what are like old household garbage dumps, lack of a better word. Old cars and refrigerators and things of that nature thrown back in there.
There's a lot of those all over town.
So if they were cleaned up, I applaud that effort. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
Traffic.
Yeah, I tried to summarize the traffic. The traffic was based on the assessment that was accompanying the tech memo. And essentially the conclusion, as I understood it, is that with the project revisions that they're proposing now, would not alter the mitigation that had previously been identified for the prior iteration of the project. So there were, there was not new adverse, newly identified adverse impacts that were not previously considered. And how they got there, under my understanding, was that they looked at the traffic generation rates and said and concluded that they are comparable or even slightly lower than prior project iterations. And then second, the background growth rates, which are the rates at which traffic generally increases over time, would also be similar at full build-out as it was at the last determined full build-out year in 2015. And it all has to be vetted. I think the assessment gives a lot of information, particularly on confirming the background growth rates. But I think you're probably going to want to have it vetted by another traffic engineer. And I think Bonnie mentioned that she may have someone in-house
do.
in her shop that can do that. Yeah.
Well, but just, Greg did mention that Philip Habib actually did some very recent field counts that I don't know if you're aware of, Larry. That
Yes.
it wasn't
Yeah.
just, okay.
My,
Yeah, no, it's in there. And that was part of establishing, I think, the background traffic rate. And
Right,
see
yeah,
what
November
extent-
3rd and 4th, I think it was, that they did it.
I think the
Yeah.
issue, you always have to check when they were done, and this is also post-COVID. And so we need to make sure that they're not actually artificially lower than normal still.
Plus, it was during construction when a lot of people were avoiding Route 17 and going down Long Meadow Road. So,
All right. I mean, but this, again, we have our own consultants who are going to look at this and to make sure that they have all the data they need, and we can determine if it's correct or not.
I
Right.
think the only other thing was that one of the items that always need to be addressed was connection to the hamlet, jitney service, how do commuters get down to the train station? I think with this multifamily development, it's possible that may even increase. Once upon a time, there was going to be a kind of trail that would go down to the hamlet and then ultimately get over across 17. That was dropped, but I think with with the population, I think we just need to understand, what the capacity is, or how can we accommodate additional commuters from the development, or if we need to, or if they'll go down to Ramsey instead. Or some discussion about commuters.
I'm having a hard
I'm not
time hearing with the dogs in the
Yeah,
background.
me too.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to move yourself, but I don't
Well,
know how to.
Can you mute yourself, Maria, and then unmute yourself when you want to make a comment?
Yeah, Maria, you can push *6 to mute yourself.
There we go.
Or just mute yourself on your phone, either one.
Yeah.
The other consideration with traffic in my mind is the big change in people working from home. I mean,
Yep.
that's a continuing reality. So that's something that 10 years ago nobody would have possibly envisioned, the 180-degree shift that's happened with that. And that's clearly still evidenced when you drive by commuter lots. I mean, they're at best 35% of what they were pre-COVID. And I think new traffic analysis professionals better have a way to factor that in to get realistic projections.
Yeah, very difficult. This is a 10-year build out, so it's always difficult to determine, will this be the long-term trend? Okay, air quality?
I had no comments.
I had no comments.
I mean, I personally can't imagine the product type changing much, mostly about how many people are going to inhabit the spaces. So I think that's in general going to remain consistent. So I can't imagine how the air quality would change much. If anything, we're moving more and more towards electric vehicles. So hopefully, again, just the trend of where society is going should be improving that.
Noise?
Noise.
Mark?
I had no comments, but I think we ought to ask the question if this is going to be a single phase project as opposed to a two-phase project. I don't know if that might increase construction noise, or if that's even an issue that's of concern. But otherwise, I couldn't think of anything under that.
To that point, Larry, as far as this phasing goes, you know, there's phasing that would be determined by where you can actually build, and then there's scheduling that also can mitigate some of that, you know, although we're considering the footprint one phase, you know, how much you're building of any of the product types could be managed over time, so that in essence it's spread out still over 10 years, but the so-called phasing is just one plan, if that makes sense what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. Sure, yeah.
Because I think the advantage of the one phase, and we've discussed this, Larry, is, you know, you're not just building all the core units,
right,
and not building out any of the single family, which to me is not a good plan. I would like to see the diversity built out over time possibly, but not in such phases that only the core stuff happens, and then until that's built, you don't see any of the single families or the less dense products. And I don't think that's in Tuxedo's best interest, personally.
My only comment on noise was, will this be in any way closer or more dense to a sensitive receptor? You know, are there more units, potentially more activity anywhere near an existing residence than previously anticipated? So I think that could be quantified. I don't think it's difficult to talk about how many and how far.
yeah.
I think part of it was also, you know, the core of the project was, I believe, at the lowest elevations of the property and around the 600-foot elevation, and kind of like in a bowl, as it was described to me, and which also was part of the part of the explanation about light infiltration and stuff, that it actually would be at lower elevation. So I'm not sure what the noise impact would be from that.
But then maybe again, where not to be specific about where things should be located, but the townhomes on that high elevation by the water tower is something to be considered with light, noise, and noise.
Why would townhomes be any noisier than regular homes?
Well, more with
There's more of them.
more, yeah, it's more people,
More
vehicles
cars.
going in and out, driveways, and
Okay.
Construction impacts? Any comments?
I got nothing.
Not really, no.
No. I think we just need to understand the phasing. We're certain on the phasing.
It seems to me, you know, the construction impact, you know, one of the big changes possibly in the last time some of this stuff was considered is, you know, a lot of the infrastructure is now in place, right? The water, the sewer, and, you know, it seems like what was at the southern end of which I guess was mostly referred to as the phase 2, it's been explained to me that that would actually have a separate construction avenue of entrance and egress, that, you know, and that because the first phase, again, because the water and sewer is in there, you know, it's kind of a different scenario than it would have been 10 years ago. Is that not true?
I would guess all the blasting is done, right?
Well, for the phases where they did the work.
Yeah, for phase for the phase 1, right? The phase 2
Mhm.
area hasn't been touched yet, as I understand it, right?
Mhm. Right. I'm not sure that all,
Was there,
I'm not sure if all phase 1 has been touched either. I don't
It
recall.
hasn't, but I mean, making it one phase or two phases, we're already talking about overlapping phases. You know, it's not that it all gets plunked down at one time. There's still
Right.
there's only so much construction you
Right,
can
there's-
reasonably do. So
That was my
I
point.
think we are getting very far into the weeds on something that,
I think when I asked at the last meeting, Greg said that they didn't have even all of phase 1 infrastructure done. Most of phase 1 and none of phase 2.
okay.
Any other
Well, we did
comments?
make it to,
Yeah.
make it to page 17.
Yeah.
we did, and
Bonnie,
the allotted time.
Yes.
Amazing.
on the natural resources end, do you remember if we had any bad issues out there?
I believe they were going to install bat boxes. So there were definitely bat issues, and I don't recall if the northern long-eared bat was listed before or after the most recent changes. I believe there are bat
Okay.
issues.
All right, yeah, and so then
And-
there'll be clear, tree removal timeframes as well, most likely, if there are. So back on natural resources, and what triggered in my mind is stuff that hasn't been taken down yet, and whether that information on some of that natural resource stuff is not stale, I should say, isn't stale any, and still the same. You just may want to ask them to just verify that for us.
Yeah, this actually came up at a planning board approval, and it had to be dealt with. And it had to do with the Northridge area. I'll have
Northern
to go back
Long-eared?
to it.
Yeah.
I think we had to
Okay.
cover yes, I think we had to cover northern long-eared, if I recall. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I mean, there was the issue, not issue, but there was the copperhead rattlesnake. But
Timber
I think,
rattlesnake.
Yeah.
well, there was a timber, but there was also, I think, copper. And that was up by the water tank. So there were mitigations that were supposed to have been implemented. I don't know if they were. I assume they were. But there are several species out there, not just the bats.
Okay.
So we can take a look at that. So I have these notes. Larry, I'll send them to you just if you want to edit them in any way.
Yeah, I'm sure they're fine. You could send them to me, and then I'll
we can
forward
send
them
it
off to
around.
the applicant. Yep.
Okay. Sounds good. And I have to get going because I have to get to another meeting.
Oh boy. Okay.
Oh, you
Lucky
lazy
me.
critter.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bonnie.
to everybody who put up with the internet issues.
That's yeah.
Thank you.
Are we done then, Mr. Supervisor? Are we done or?
I think since Bonnie's bailing, are my town board members still there, or are they gone?
Yeah, we're here.
I'm here.
Some of us.
We're here.
So, do we have any other business? I mean, hopefully the notes will be conveyed. I think Greg Goucher and his team have been on the call and heard our dialogue. And, of course, we'll submit notes. Was there anything else in this package? Did we want to take a look at Greg's memo while we're here? Yeah. It's only a 2-page letter. I think we could probably take advantage of the time.
Okay.
Just
Let me get it out.
Are you guys still out of your internet over
Well,
there?
I've just bounced back
It
on.
seems to have come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So does
Okay.
somebody want to relaunch or is the meeting still on by Jake? Is he still the host?
I'm still the host.
All right,
Yeah,
so let me
no,
try
I'm
to-
yeah, but my internet is still out, so I won't be able to get in.
So
So,
you stay on. I'm
Okay.
going to just try to log on, and if I'm on, I'll shut my phone off. So just give me 1 minute to see if I can get on. And then might have to let me in, Jay, but maybe not.
No,
Yeah,
we
my
hear you.
computer's working. No, but I'm on the phone right now.
I won't have to let you in. The meeting isn't locked.
Oh, well then, God bless you.
I mean, I hope not anyway.
No, I was able to.
Probably.
I've been kicked out and reconnected at least 4 or 5 times. Ah, Maria's on. You're muted, Maria, just so you know. Ken,
I'm back
was that
on.
you?
There you go.
Come on, there you go.
Oh my gosh, what craziness.
At
All
least
right,
for the moment.
so
Do we want to go through the letter itself?
Greg wrote, in response to the board's recent comments and discussions about the requested revision to the special permit for Tuxedo Farms, attached, please find a revised products mix chart, Exhibit A. The number of units has increased by 6 from 1,594 to 1,600. Number of bedrooms has not increased from 3,500. We have modified the product mix to increase substantially the planned number of single-family homes and increase the diversity of single-family housing types. Previously, 210 two-bedrooms and 34 four-bedrooms. Now planned to be 264 two-bedroom, 96 three-bedroom, and 34 four-bedrooms. If you can pause there for a second, I actually just totaled that up. Obviously, you already knew that, the 394 bedrooms. But that breaks down to 67% of the single family homes are going to be two bedroom, 24 three bedroom, 24% three bedrooms, and 9% four bedrooms. I just kind of want to know, is that what the marketing research shows what the needs are? I'll just continue. Also, as discussed, we have conceptualized this project as a single phase with a variety of project types being delivered along the way and not prescriptive about which exact buildings would be reserved for active adults. This would allow the project to provide a variety of housing types, including a variety of active adult and non-active adult housing types at the same time and place to meet the market demand and needs of the town. It is now planned that there would be single family homes not restricted for active adults that would be developed in the first wave of construction. It is also planned that there would be homes reserved for active adults in the first wave. Why don't we pause there for a second? To me, there's a lot of good news there in my mind. I could never cozy up to a notion that active adults were restricted in the kind of products that were available to them. That just doesn't make sense to me, but maybe I'm not understanding a larger concept of active adult homes. And certainly didn't want all of the single family homes most of them to be limited to the 55 and older crowd. That didn't make sense to me. I'm pausing now for other comment.
I think it also goes to, we want to know how many are anticipated to be age restricted, because it then impacts
Right.
school-age children, which we already talked about that.
right, I was going to say the same thing. You want to wrap some degree of like minimum or maximum or whatever around that, if you can, because because I'm still assuming you want some age restricted. And so,
Well, back in the
but-
tech memo, page 2, section C, when you do the math on what's non-age restricted from a bedroom count, it only left 640 bedrooms to age restricted. So, whether you're dividing them up of these different products. So what's the percentage? 640 of 3,500, right? Isn't that kind of giving you what the percentage was?
8%. So what
That
do you
comes
think?
out to 18% by what I just calculated.
yeah, it's about, it's close. It's, yeah. Because it's 3,500 and it's 600 and something. So I mean,
my thinking there, Larry, just like of all the housing, if we're not restricting older people to a specific product, could there somewhere be, okay, I don't know what the magic number is, 18% for active adults, but let's say that was a ratio we were trying to maintain. Okay, well, why couldn't that ratio just be maintained across all product?
Well,
I'm not sure.
For starters,
can't, I mean,
it's not restricted that you have to be, the restriction is you can't be younger than 55, not that old people can't move into other product.
Right.
Okay.
But I didn't want,
sure.
I didn't want parts of the community to just be restricted. Is that part of the notion that you cluster older people into their own enclaves? Is that the notion?
Well, I mean, it could be.
No one has ever been successfully able to explain to me what the point of age of active adult housing is, but that's okay. This is where I'm going to say this goes to what Related is trying to do with what they think they can sell for their product. So, I mean, unless we're going to open up Greg's microphone and have him answer this question, there's not a whole lot of point to us spending time talking to each other about it.
Well, yeah, our only point was that you want to try and, again, get some certainty around the issue instead of, the language that Ken read was very general. And so we should ask Greg what it means and get some certainty around it.
Absolutely. And we've already said that this Exhibit A chart doesn't have sufficient detail in it yet.
Correct.
Also, I'm a little concerned about 264 two-bedroom single-family homes when what we want are small families, right? School-age children. I mean, that seems like a lot of two-bedroom homes.
I mean, but
So my
Single-family
flexibility for that would be if you add that up, there's 952 bedrooms. Could you not let the market determine, what that ratio of 4, 3, and 2 bedrooms be? And if 952 is the number, I'm less concerned about what category. Right now it says 67% of those 952 bedrooms would be 2-bedroom cottages. Okay, well, if market switch that number around, I mean, it seems to be, though, the number of bedrooms, though, isn't going to change much because they're using most of the bedrooms up for the multi-unit units, multi-family units. So if 952 kind of proves to be the allotment of bedrooms for single-family homes, well, the number of homes may change based on what the market says people are more in tune with. I'd be okay with letting that fall where the cards may, but
I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And I think that perhaps, there's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with 2-bedroom single family homes. The Norman Rockwell 2 parents, 2.5 kids, a dog family doesn't exist anymore. There are lots of families that happily fit into 2-bedroom houses.
Well, I guess I just like to see the market analysis of that.
well, one of the things that I suggested even to Greg would be, if you have those 3 models available and you have lots that could accommodate them, and you have 952 bedrooms, you kind of wait and see who comes in to buy them,
Well, yes, I don't think we have to teach Related how to sell houses.
I'm pretty sure about that too.
All right,
Well, I think the point is,
Really? I don't get that.
where
But-
are we in the letter now?
Let's keep going. Then he goes on to say, so again, from that second paragraph, there is this notion of, are we doing a single phase? I think it's good news that we went from, 244 single family homes now up to 394. That works in my eye better. And now we're moving to the next paragraph, and that we also got away from the age restricting, kind of dictating, what kind of housing was available to them. That didn't make sense. Then it goes on to say, in addition to the more diverse single-family home plans, the plans for the missing middle product are also planned to include diverse offerings. While the exact product type will be finalized in the subdivision site plan application process, we are currently planning for a variety of project types in this group, including 24-foot, 27-foot, and 32-foot wide townhomes, stacked townhome houses, and potentially other building types. Also, these are currently planned to be a variety of 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom homes in this group. Also, there are planned to be a variety of multi-family offerings, mostly consisting of 1-bedroom and 2 bedrooms in the Common and Upland Park. My comment there was, when they showed the graphic of the missing middle, there were product types identified that just kind of fell off the new.
The semi-attached, the duplexes, those things.
Yeah, they were called. I'm looking for my list. They were called bungalow courtyard apartments, triplex, fourplex, multiplex, duplex. Basically, what I'm looking for is, variety of product, not just lines of townhomes. I don't think that would be very attractive and or very creative, but hopefully that's not what's being proposed. Keeps coming back to the detail thing.
Okay, so then he goes on to talk about the tech memo dated November 15. Want me to finish reading?
Sure.
Okay, it says the tech memo that we've been looking at tonight, November 15th version, can be updated with the updated unit mix if requested, but the analysis should not change other than to a de minimis amount, since the unit count has only increased by 6 units, less than 0.4%, and bedroom count has not changed. So we talked about other ways that the tech memo needs to be updated. It should also be noted that the economic and fiscal analysis used base data from 2015. Thus, although this analysis is complete and shows a net positive revenue to the town, it is likely very conservative as property values have most likely increased in the last 6 years. Also, comparison to the 2015 analysis may not be relevant as the 2015 plan, parentheses, predominantly large single-family homes, close parens, is not economically feasible to develop, so is not an alternative plan.
Right. The
Okay.
the alternative plan is not to go back to whatever it was, 900 single family homes. The alternative plan is what we got now,
Okay,
which is nothing. I think that's a reasonable. That's a that's what's known as a shot across the bow, but not necessarily an unreasonable statement.
okay. As discussed, the primary purpose of this revision to the special permit is to meet the market and make the Tuxedo Farms project economically feasible so we can finalize plans and arrangements with home builder partners, start the subdivision site plan application process, and commence construction ASAP. All of this would be done in spirit of partnership with the town, and we look forward to next steps. We very
I
much
feel
look
like
forward to working.
we're continuing to move forward in this process and in a partnership conversation. You know, I'm not going to ever make it a secret. You know, I think a part of the urgency is to, you know, try to keep builders interested. I personally feel like if a builder came forward, you know, we continue to work to look at the products and make them fit in. I think we have ways to accommodate the general ask here of this missing middle. I think we could move this forward a lot faster if some of those details, if more of those details were provided. And I don't think we'd scare away a builder. I think we'd be able to communicate absolutely a strong working relationship. So I think the more we can move towards that, which is what we've been talking about all night here, you know, what don't we know? A lot of it has to do with the details of the product types, and then where would they actually fit on this map? You know, the number of bedrooms, if that does stay at this static number, which is, I think, kind of dictated by the sewer plant and so many other things, the water supply, and open statements of that's as far as this project's supposed to go, 1,600 units. You know, when you figure out the multi-units that are going to be on the phase one footprint, you just do some simple subtraction and you know what's left. I mean, just even in this memo A, this table A or whatever it's called, I'm sorry. It's leaving 952 bedrooms, which is 27% of the overall project towards single family homes. So if that ratio is kind of where we're going, I don't know. It seems like it should be fairly easy to figure this out, you know, because a lot of it's already dictated by those numbers.
Okay, so next steps are what? We're just, Larry and Bonnie are gonna send comments over?
I
Yeah,
believe
we'll send comments over and we'll expect to hear back from them in response to those comments. And at some point, there will be a revised tech memo with more information, et cetera, and we'll have our next version to look at.
Are any of our, is Greg or anybody still on this call? Would we want to just at least get some very general feedback?
I think we should
Yes,
wait
I
till
am.
they get a
Oh,
chance.
Greg is there. Please, you know, can we just hear a couple of minutes from Greg? Thank you, Greg.
No, it's a lot to respond to. So I think, yes, I took my own notes, but I'll get the notes that were being prepared. And I mean, the struggle is you want a lot of detail, right, at this point. And so that's difficult at this point, but we're sending the comments and we'll respond.
That's great. And, we want to continue the process of this dialogue and work it out. That's what we're here for.
All right.
So I think that answered the next step, Michelle. We'll pass this on and we'll wait to respond. And
It's a continuous process.
that we're committed to working as fast as we can.
You're definitely diligently working. That's for sure. So thank you all for taking the time tonight.
We're committed to it, Greg. Thank you.
Yeah, I can tell.
All right, guys. So I don't
Thanks.
have any further comment. Thank you, Greg. I could use some food, and my wife is going to try to feed me now. So
All right.
that's a positive. All right, guys.
You want to make a motion to adjourn?
Thank you for that. Yeah, I'll make a motion to adjourn at 6:52 p.m. All in favor, say aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you, everybody.
Good job,
Thanks.
Jay.
Good night.
Pitch it
Good
in.
night, everybody.
I just
Bye.
pushed
Thank
the
you,
button.
guys.
But I will say that we need to change the master login. Shouldn't be Dave. It should be some other neutral
Exactly.
email.
There's a lot of things that have to be done with that,
So
but you're right.
all right,
That's
very
how we
good.
do that.
Oh wait, Maria wants to say something. You're on mute.
You're muted,
Unmute
Maria.
yourself.
So I have everything except for the stuff that came today. I don't have
I'll
the,
forward it to you.
thank you. And the letter that we just went
yesterday.
over, I don't have that either.
That's in the same document. I'll send that to you.
Thank you.
All
Yeah,
right.
I sent that in an email to everybody, so you should have it.
You know what? It could be that because of the internet issues, it's still flying someplace, but I just didn't get it. I don't have it.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank
The
you.
worst thing will happen, you'll have it twice.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
You can stop the recording, Jay.
I did.